So today I want to talk about a vision I had about a necklace. And this is the necklace that I had the vision about. So I I lost my house in 2006 to illegal foreclosure. And I had lost custody of my girls through no fault of my own. I couldn't keep a job to save my life. And my life was just in a downward spiral. And the way that I was taught in my Christian upbringing was that God was mad at me, and that is why my life was being destroyed. I've come around to think just the opposite of that, and who was responsible for my life being destroyed. And it's not God, not the Creator. So anyway, my life at that time was in a downward spiral, and I thought, maybe there's a curse on my family or something, and why everything was so bad. And then I had my divorce, and and everything just kept getting worse and worse. So I was thinking that I had done something wrong, that my family was being cursed, and I was being punished for it. So I asked God I had a prayer, and I asked God to help me, and I asked about if there was a family curse. So I sat and prayed, and just sat in prayer, and had a vision of the first thing I saw was knee-high Native American boots made of deerskin. And then I saw a path along a lush countryside of greenery, and it led to a castle. At this point, I didn't know about my French ancestors. I knew I had Irish ancestors, so I thought that it was Ireland that I was in. I walked the path to the castle and went inside the castle, and was shown a dark room where I went and sat in the dark and just waited. And this necklace here appeared. And I had the feeling it had been stolen. And I thought my ancestors had stolen it. And so I apologized and asked for forgiveness, and hoped that, it was, if there was a family curse, that it had been lifted. So then I forgot about this. It was around 2006, around the time that I lost the house. It was either right before I lost the house or right after that I saw this. So I forgot about it. And then I happened to see this video of the jewels that Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother, who is also named Elizabeth, the jewels that they purposely wore, and that they always had the political reasons behind wearing them or not wearing them. So they showed this necklace, and they said it was never worn in public, but the Queen Mother loved it, and she wore it in private. And Queen Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I can't remember if they said she did wear it in private or didn't wear it at all. And then they said something interesting. They said the provenance of the jewels of the necklace is in question. There are rumors that it belonged to Josephine, who was Napoleon's wife. or Queen Marie Antoinette. And I knew at that moment this necklace belonged to Queen Marie Antoinette, and these evil people stole it from her after they engineered her death, her murder. And this necklace was bequeathed. Somehow this woman named Mrs. Greville, and there's a wiki page about Mrs. Greville. She somehow got a hold of this necklace, and she was a friend to the Queen Mother. And this Mrs. Greville was a Nazi supporter, and she was an enthusiastic Nazi supporter. And on the wiki page, it describes a dinner held where this Mrs. Greville and a guest were in a heated argument about how the Jews were being treated by the Nazis. So after Mrs. Greville's death, she had bequeathed this necklace and other jewels to the Queen Mother. And then, when the Queen Mother passed on, the jewels came to Queen Elizabeth, and so on. So first, let me talk about what happened to Queen Marie Antoinette and all the lies told about her. So in history class, I was taught that Marie Antoinette had said, "Let them eat cake," and that's a lie that has been promoted over and over for centuries. The person who actually said it was a court whore who said it, 10 or 20 years before they lied and said that Queen Marie had said it. In actuality, Queen Marie Antoinette had charities that she was fond of. So she was a compassionate, generous person. And then the second lie about Queen Marie was that she had stolen a diamond necklace worth millions, back in the 1700s. So, it'd be worth like 10 million now, or 100 million. But, so there was a doppelganger. And a doppelganger is somebody who looks very similar to another person, and so much so that people can be fooled into thinking they are that person. So there was a doppelganger that looked very similar to Queen Marie and could pass for her. Well, the doppelganger started an affair. I wouldn't say an affair, like in there was an exchange of letters of a relationship with a bishop, a Catholic bishop. And he thought it was the real Queen Marie, and it was not. And this doppelganger convinced the bishop that she was in love with him, and, he was her bestie, and she really wanted that diamond necklace. So the bishop somehow obtained the necklace with, the promise of payment coming. Well, the doppelganger left, got the necklace and skipped town. So, and the history behind that necklace was that the necklace was commissioned by the jewelers by King Louis XV, and before they could finish it, King Louis XV died, and then King Louis XVI, Queen Marie's husband, banished this court whore and from the castle, and the necklace was for her. So she didn't get her necklace, and I strongly believe that she was behind this plot to steal the necklace and blame Queen Marie Antoinette for it, using a doppelganger. Now, I have come across, well, let me finish with the third one, then I can go into the details behind it. The third thing that they did to Queen Marie Antoinette to ruin her reputation and make people so angry that they wanted to kill her was getting a false statement from their 10-year-old son, the Dauphin, stating that there had been inappropriate contact between Queen Marie and her son. And I want to be very careful what I say here, because YouTube has already deleted one of my videos just for saying a word that sounded like a cuss word, but it wasn't the actual cuss word. So I want to be very careful, but the things that they are accusing her of, and just inappropriate contact with her, with Marie and her son. If I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about, what they were accusing her of. And he didn't want to do it, and they beat him until he was so bruised and beaten up that he signed the false statement that there had been inappropriate contact, physical contact. And I'd read that Queen Marie had asked others to forgive her son for lying, because she knew that something had happened and why he would make that statement. At that point, he was only 10 years old, and they're bullies. They like to pick on children and those they perceive as weak, or find your weakness and use that to their advantage. So he's 10 years old. They separated him from his mother. Up to that point, he had been with his mother in prison. She was already in prison at this point. So they took the 10-year-old boy away from his parents, his support system, and then beat him savagely until he would say that. And then once they got that signed statement, that was the end of Queen Marie. The French public wanted to kill her because they thought she was a horrible, evil, gluttonous, person. And it was just the opposite. She's just the opposite. Once they got that, they killed the son. So this is a playbook the Freemasons have used over and over again. They accuse the person of thievery. They accuse the person of sexual misconduct. And they destroy the people financially. It's just a playbook I have experienced, and I've seen it happen over and over again. And the so-called financial minister, Turgot, Turgot, was, by appearances, a Freemason. There's a wiki page about him as well, and there's a portrait of him with his hand hidden. And that is a subliminal message that they do to signal that they are a secret society member and they are part of the Brotherhood. And that leads me back to the Nazis in Germany and them going after the bloodline of Jesus. So the Nazis specifically targeted Sephardic Jews who were of Jesus' bloodline. Jesus was a Sephardic Jew. And they specifically targeted them to put them in the gas chambers. And I believe this is a reason why Marie Antoinette was also targeted and so viciously gone after. And they wanted to kill her son as well because he also would have been part of the bloodline. I also believe Joan of Arc, which is her name is actually Jeanne, Jeanne. That's the French spelling of her name. It's pronounced Jeanne d'Arc. I believe she is also part of the bloodline. And so I've had visions of both Jeanne d'Arc at the stake. I had a vision of me floating above her as she was tied to the stake. And the fire was around her, but it was being kept away. It was like a force was keeping the fire a foot away from her. And God had taken her spirit up to heaven, and it felt like me, like I was floating over the body of Jeanne of Arc. So I do, the Shroud of Turin has AB negative blood. I also have AB negative blood, and I do believe I'm part of the bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And it's okay if you don't believe that way. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion and their own path to God, the Creator. So I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody. I'm just trying to say that that this is part of what's going on right now, and why they are trying to kill so many people. They have been killing the bloodline since Jesus walked the earth. And I think that's important that people understand that is what's going on. And I hope it brings comfort to people. So and the vision most definitely of this necklace, most definitely was from God to let me know of my heritage, because it was being kept from me. I just barely even knew I had French ancestors. And then I found out that Pardue was not my actual family name. It was a name my ancestors, they changed their name to Pardue, and they fled the French Revolution. So I know, they were running away from the Freemasons because they were targeted. So, well, that's all for this one. I don't want to make it too long. I just wanted to get this out here about, how the bloodline had been targeted by these evil people, that the British monarchy is part of the evil going on. They stole these jewels. Somebody stole these jewels after Queen Marie was murdered, and now they wear them around their neck like it's a trophy. I do believe they are part of the Freemasons, and they go by different names: Knights Templar, Illuminati. There's many secret societies, but they all worship evil gods: Moloch, Chemosh, Remphan, and Baal. they just have different gods that they worship. So, but they're all evil. So I'm going to end this now. It's getting a little bit long. God bless, and stay strong.